Ricky Kasso, born in 1967, grew up in Northport, Long Island, amidst familial discord. His father's absence left his mother to raise him and his siblings alone, fostering feelings of abandonment within Ricky from a young age. His mother struggled to provide stability and guidance in Ricky's formative years, contributing to his rebellious tendencies and eventual descent into substance abuse. As Ricky entered adolescence in the late 1970s and early 1980s, societal shifts were underway, particularly in suburban communities like Northport. The countercultural movements of the 1960s had evolved into new forms of expression, including punk rock and heavy metal music scenes that embraced rebellion. Ricky found solace and camaraderie within these subcultures, where defiance against societal norms was commonplace. By the time Ricky was 17 in 1984, he had become deeply entrenched in Northport's underground scene, where drugs like LSD, PCP, and marijuana were readily available. Alongside friends Jimmy Troiano, Albert Quinones, and Gary Lauwers, Ricky formed a tight-knit group bonded by their shared interests in drugs, music, and a fascination with the occult. The summer of 1984 would forever alter the course of Ricky's life and leave a lasting scar on the Northport community. On June 16th of that year, Ricky and his friends embarked on a fateful journey into the wooded outskirts of Northport. Fueled by drugs and Ricky's growing obsession with the occult, the group's excursion took a dark turn as Ricky began to espouse paranoid delusions about supernatural forces and the need for an act to appease them. During this haze, Ricky accused Gary Lauwers of theft, an accusation that appeared unfounded and may have been fueled by Ricky's paranoia. The atmosphere among the group turned hostile as Ricky fixated on punishing Lauwers for this perceived transgression, viewing it as a betrayal of their camaraderie and shared beliefs. What transpired next remains shrouded in conflicting accounts and the haze of altered perception. According to later testimonies and evidence gathered by law enforcement, Ricky and his accomplices subjected Lauwers to a prolonged and brutal attack. Lauwers endured hours of torment at the hands of Ricky and his friends, who taunted him with accusations of betrayal against their beliefs. Details of Lauwers' final moments varied among witnesses, with some accounts suggesting elements influenced by Ricky's delusions of supernatural influence. Ultimately, the violence escalated to a point where Ricky and his cohorts inflicted fatal injuries upon Lauwers, ending his life in a horrific manner. Following the attack, Ricky and his companions attempted to conceal their crime by burying Lauwers' body in a shallow grave within the woods. Their efforts to obscure the evidence were soon uncovered when a local resident stumbled upon the scene and alerted the authorities. The discovery of Lauwers' body sent shockwaves through the quiet community of Northport, prompting an intensive investigation into his death. The subsequent law enforcement efforts swiftly identified Ricky Kasso as the mastermind behind Lauwers' murder and implicated Troiano and Quinones as accomplices in the crime. Media coverage of the case quickly dubbed Ricky as the Acid King, highlighting his history of drug use and fascination with occult practices. As the legal proceedings unfolded, chilling details emerged about Ricky's troubled upbringing and his gradual descent into violence and paranoia. Experts debated the role of substance abuse, mental health issues, and Ricky's immersion in the occult as catalysts for his behavior. Some suggested that Ricky's drug use exacerbated underlying psychological conditions, while others pointed to the absence of stable parental guidance during his formative years. Throughout his trial, Ricky displayed erratic behavior and exhibited a detached demeanor, often appearing disconnected from the gravity of his actions. He showed no remorse for Lauwers' murder and maintained that he was acting under the influence of forces during the events. Despite attempts by his defense team to argue an insanity defense, Ricky was deemed competent to stand trial for his crimes. In October 1985, Ricky Kasso was found guilty of charges related to Lauwers' murder. The court sentenced him to a lengthy prison term without the possibility of parole, marking the conclusion of a tragic chapter in Northport's history. The case left an impact on the community and those affected by Ricky's actions, serving as a reminder of the consequences of substance abuse and untreated mental health issues. Ricky Kasso's case continues to captivate and disturb people to this day, prompting ongoing discussions about the societal factors that contributed to his descent into violence. The case serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities of human behavior and the consequences of untreated mental health issues. For Ricky's family, the aftermath of the case was harrowing. His mother, grappling with grief and shame, eventually relocated away from Northport in search of solace and privacy. She spent the remainder of her life haunted by the tragedy and Ricky's infamy as the Acid King. In the decades since Ricky's conviction, scholars have studied his case to gain insights into the factors that drive individuals to commit acts of violence. The case remains a focal point for discussions about mental health, substance abuse, and youth behavior. Today, Ricky Kasso's name endures as a reminder of the consequences of untreated mental illness and substance abuse. His story serves as a call to prioritize mental health support and intervention to prevent similar tragedies in the future. The tragic events surrounding Ricky Kasso's life and the murder of Gary Lauwers continue to resonate with those who study criminal psychology and social dynamics. Ricky's case stands as a reminder of the importance of addressing mental health issues and substance abuse within communities to prevent future tragedies. I'd like to take this time to pay my respects to the victims and all the families that were affected by these heinous acts on both sides. You deserve better and are forever in our prayers. May you rest in peace. Ricky Kasso's life and the events leading to his infamous crime against Gary Lauwers are a sobering reminder of the complexities of human behavior and the devastating consequences of untreated mental health issues and substance abuse. His story serves as a call to action for communities to prioritize mental health support and intervention to prevent similar tragedies in the future. The satanic panic of the 1980s and early 1990s in the United States can be likened to a modern-day witch hunt due to several key parallels in its social dynamics and consequences. During the panic, there was widespread fear and moral concern about alleged widespread satanic ritual abuse occurring across the country. This phenomenon was fueled by sensationalized media coverage, religious fervor, and a climate of societal anxiety about changing cultural norms. Similar to historical witch hunts, accusations during the satanic panic often relied on flimsy evidence, coerced testimonies, and moral hysteria rather than factual investigation. Allegations frequently targeted marginalized groups, including daycare workers, educators, and individuals involved in alternative spiritual practices. Authorities and media outlets played a significant role in amplifying the panic, sometimes exaggerating or fabricating stories of satanic rituals, child abuse, and other horrific acts. This sensationalism contributed to public hysteria and a rush to judgment against accused individuals. The satanic panic involved a moral crusade against perceived threats to traditional values and family structures. Religious organizations and conservative groups often led the charge, framing the panic as a battle between good and evil, with Satanism portrayed as a pervasive force undermining societal morality. Innocent people were wrongly accused and prosecuted based on dubious evidence and societal pressure to find scapegoats for perceived social problems. Lives were shattered, careers ruined, and families torn apart as a result of these false accusations and trials. The panic led to the implementation of questionable investigative techniques, including leading questioning of children and reliance on recovered memories, which later proved to be unreliable and influenced by suggestive interviewing methods. The satanic panic also coincided with broader cultural anxieties about youth culture, music, and entertainment. Heavy metal music, role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, and horror movies were often scapegoated as influences leading youth astray into satanic practices. Legal and social policies were influenced by the panic, leading to changes in child protection laws, increased scrutiny of daycare centers, and heightened surveillance of alternative religious groups. These measures were often based on unfounded fears rather than empirical evidence of widespread satanic activity. Ultimately, the satanic panic faded as skepticism grew about the veracity of many claims and as critical examination revealed the lack of credible evidence supporting the existence of large-scale satanic ritual abuse. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more Killer Cliff Notes, and I'll see you in the next one.